Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to chapter 5 of Shmuel Aleph, as I have titled it, Heavenly Hemorrhoids, which, sometimes you have to laugh because this is one of the greatest punishments you're ever going to imagine for the Pelishtim, for the Philistines. And what we're going to do this chapter is actually a very short chapter. There's only 12 psukim in it. So what we're going to do is just read through all the psukim, and then once we've finished the psukim, then we'll go into the commentaries, because sometimes when it's a large chapter, I want to break it down, but this one, I think it's easier to read the whole chapter as a whole. But one of the overarching questions we're going to have is, why are the Pelishtim punished for taking the Aron? And whether there is a disrespect going on and that's why they're being punished. Is it because the Aron belongs to Eretz Yisrael and with the Jewish people? Different questions, but that's going to be some of the edges which we're going to see with the commentaries. So without further ado, let's jump in. And it opens up as follows. Upelishtim לקחו את ארון האלוהים, והביאוהו מאבן העזר אשדודה. So the people, the Pelishtim, took the Aron of Hashem, of God, and they brought it from Even HaEzer, which is in Eretz Israel, to Ashdod, which is one of their main principal cities. Vayikhu Pelishtim et Aron HaElohim, and the Pelishtim took the Aron of God, Vayivi'u oto Beit Dagon, and they brought it to the house of of Dagon. Vayatzigu oto etzel Dagon, and they set it up next to Dagon. And Dagon is one of their gods, and we'll have a look at that, exactly what's going on there. Vayashkimu Ashdodim, and the Ashdodites got up the next morning, mimachorat, on the morrow. V'hinei Dagon nofel lefanav arza, and behold, Dagon had fallen towards the ground, face down, lifnei Aron Hashem, before the ark of God. Vayikhu et Dagon, so they took Dagon, vayashivu oto limkomo, and they put him back in his place. Daled, vayashkimu baboker, mimachorat, so they got up again the next morning. V'hinei Dagon nofel lefanav arza lifnei Aron Hashem, and again he'd fallen on the ground downwards before the ark of Hashem. And this time, Rosh Dagon ushtei kapot yadav kutot, the head and the two hands of Dagon were cut off. El hamiftan, and he was lying there, rak Dagon nishar alav, and he's lying there on the ground, and only Dagon, which is, I'm assuming, the body or the trunk of him, nishar alav, remained upon him. And then we have this very strange line here, where obviously in those first four verses, the ark has established itself as, or Hashem has established himself as the deity, and Dagon is not. You'd expect them to worship Hashem. Instead, the verse says, Al kain lo yidrechu kohanei Dagon v'chol habaim beit Dagon al miftan Dagon be'ashdod ad hayom hazeh. And therefore, because of what happened, the priests of Dagon do not walk on, when they go in, they don't walk upon the floor, because that's where Dagon fell until this day. They started worshiping the floor, the threshold, the earth where Dagon fell until this day. I'm going to have to discuss what's going on there as well. Vav, verse 6, Vatichbad yad Hashem el ha'ashdodim, and the hand of Hashem became heavy upon the Ashdodites, Vaisimem, and he ravaged them. Vayachotam, and he struck them. And you have this strange phrase here, ba'afalim batechorim. It's pronounced, it's read one way. That's what it reads like, but we pronounce it with this word, batechorim. We have to understand, what does afalim mean and what does techorim mean? Eta Ashdod ve'et gevuleha. And I just translated it there using the translation that he smote them with hemorrhoids, Ashdod and its borders. But we're going to have a look at exactly what it means. Vayiru anshe Ashdod, and the people of Ashdod saw, ki chein ve'amru lo yeshev Aaron Elohei Yisrael imanu, ki kashta yado aleinu val dagon Elohenu. Let not the ark of God of Israel dwell with us, for his hand is severe upon us and upon Dagon our God. So again, the silliness of the people of Pelishtim, these Ashdodites, they realize that everything is coming from Hashem, but they still think that Dagon is their God. 8. Vayishlechu, and they sent. Vayasvu, and they gathered. Kol sarnei Pelishtim, all the leaders of the Pelishtim. Alehem, to them. Vayomru, and they said, Ma na'aseh le'Aaron Elohei Yisrael. What should we do with the ark of the God of Israel? Vayomru, Gat Yisov Aaron Elohei Yisrael, Vayasebu et Aaron Elohei Yisrael. You know what they said? Let's send it around and bring it to the city of Gat. And they brought the Aaron of God of Israel around to Gat. It's like, you know what? It's bad in Ashdod. Let's send it. Who's bothering us now? Let's send it to Gat. Let's send it to another city of the Pelishtim. They sent it to Gat. It's an interesting thing in the first place. They realize it's coming from Hashem. Perhaps they need to get rid of it altogether, but they don't. Vahi acharei hesabu oto, and it was after they had gone around. Vatahi yad Hashem ba'ir mehuma gedola, that the hand of Hashem was upon the city with a great panic. Me'od. Vayachet anshe ha'ir. He struck the people of the city, mikatonad gadol, from small until old. Vayisatru lahem aflim techorim. And there were these afalim techorim upon them. And again, the translation here on their hidden parts. But again, I'm going to explain to you that a lot of these translations are based on commentaries. So they did something to them, beseter. And seter is normally spelled with a samach. Here it's spelled in a sin, which means hidden. But again, we'll see that in the commentaries. Vaishalchu et Aaron ha'Elohim. So the people of Gad had enough of it. So they said, send the Aaron away to Ekron, another village or another town. V'ikavo Aaron Elohim Ekron, and when the Aaron of God came to Ekron, Vayizaku Ekronim, the people of Ekron cried out, Lemor, saying, Hesabu Elai et Aaron Elohei Yisrael, Lahamiteni betami. They have brought the Aaron of God of Israel to kill me and my people. Vayishlechu vayasu kol sarnei Pelishtim. So again, they gathered all the leaders of the Pelishtim. Vayomru, and they said, Shalchu et Aaron Elohei Yisrael, send away the ark of the God of Israel. Vayashov limkomo, and return it to its place. V'lo yamit oti betami, it should not kill me and my people. Ki hayta mehumat mavet bechol ir, because there was a panic of death in the entire city. Kavda ma'od, it was very heavy. Yad Elohim sham, the hand of God was very heavy, was very strong upon them there. V'anashim asher lo metu, and the people that did not die, huku, they were struck down. Ba'afilim b'techorim, with these techorim. V'tal shav'at ha'ir shamayim, and the cry of the city went up all the way to heaven. As in, Hashem heard, Hashem paid attention to them. This was something going on. That's the end. That's our chapter. 12 short verses. And we're going to have a look the commentaries to try and understand some deeper resonating facts on what's going on here. We're going to have a look at what exactly was this idol called Dagon? Why do they want to place the ark with Dagon? Dagon falling down, what happened there? Dagon's arms and head cut off. The Pelishtim worshipping the scene of their god's downfall, what happened there? We're going to have a look also at this phrase, Afolim versus Techorim. What exactly is going on? With quite a lot of commentaries there. And then, what does it mean, Vayisatru lahem? And then the Techorim getting worse and worse and worse. So we're going to have a look at a number of different commentaries. Again, sometimes when you have a shorter chapter, you get to enjoy a lot more of the text and a lot more of the commentaries we can focus on. So let's have a look at Dagon, and I've got for you a four-way discussion on this. We'll begin with Rashi, and Rashi says, Demot asui kidmot dag. It was an idol made in the likeness of a fish. Okay, dag makes sense. It comes from the word Dagon, comes from the word dag. It's a fish god. It's an idol made like a fish. The Radak says, Mitabura ulamata hayatrat hadag. From the waist down, from the belly button down, it had the form of a fish. Mitabura ulamala tzurat adam. But from the waist up, it had the form of a man. And the Ralbag says, Tzelem al tzurat ben adam. It was an idol in the form of a person. The Ma'am Loez says, it's possibly a combination of two words, dag meaning fish and on meaning power. So we have to understand this. What is Rashi and Ma'am Loez? That makes sense. Dagon, dag, it's a fish god. It makes sense. It's in the likeness of a fish. Why do Radak and Ralbag think that either it's a half-half or it's totally a human idol? And the answer lies in the fact that it says that the two hands, the palms, and the head were cut off. I don't know about you, I don't see many fish with palms. So that's why the Radak says, well, his name is Dag, so he's got to have a fish body to him. Whereas the Ralbag saying, no, it's a human form. There you go. In fact, maybe what the Ralbag is hinting at is maybe for the Ralbag it's a fisherman, but for Rashi and Radak it's a dag, it's a fish. Okay, but something to think about the Dagon there. Now let's have a look at this with the placing the idol, which is Dagon, placing the Aron HaElohim, the Ark of God, next to it. What was their motivation? So there's a machloket here between Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish. There's an argument. Rabbi Yochanan said, Kabduhu, they did this in order to show honor to the Ark of God. Amru, they said, Ze Eloah, Ze Eloah. This is a God and this is a God. Yavo Eloha, v'yishra etzel Eloha. Let this God reside next to another God. It's appropriate. Where do we keep our God? In our temple. Let's put their God, their ark, in our temple. Says Rav Shimon ben Lakish, says Reish Lakish, Kach haya b'scharan. Do you really think that their motives were so pure and that was their reward? Ela amru ze notzeach v'ze natzuach. This is the victor and this is the vanquished. Yavo natzuach v'yit'abed lenotzeach. Let the loser serve the victor. Who won the battle? The Pelishtim. But who really won the battle? In their eyes, they thought that Dagon had won the battle. So what better ignominy for the loser, for the Aron Elohim, than to be placed next to the their idol, showing, look at us, look how much better we are to you. So according to Reish Lakish, this explains why they were punished and why Dagon is going to be broken. But Rabbi Yochanan's just saying, they had good motives. They were just wrong in the fact they didn't realize that the Aron HaElohim, the Ark of God, does not belong in a place of idolatry, and also doesn't belong with idolaters. The Aron HaElohim can only belong with the Jewish people, and the Jewish people following all the laws properly. Now, you'll notice that Dagon falls prostrating to the ark. Now, if I'm standing side by side, let's say I'm standing next to Fran, and I fall down face forwards, I'm not falling towards Fran, I'm falling towards the ground. So if these two are side by side, it should not be that when he falls down, this idol, that he's going to end up falling in front of the ark. So the Pelishtim, the Philistines, should have figured this out. Says the Ralbag, Gersonides, he says as follows, V'hine al tzad ha-mofet asa Hashem yitbarach lichvodo she'ipil Dagon arza lifnei Aron Hashem la'ir ki ein od milevado. Since the idol had been placed alongside the ark, that it fell in such a position was God's way of showing them that their idol is no God. There is no God other than Elohim. So they should have realized that. It didn't just fall down and lost its balance, so to speak. It fell and did a 90-degree turn and then fell in front of the Aron. V'ulai chashvu ha-Pelishtim shekva haya ze al derech ha-mikra. Derech mikra. Perhaps the Pelishtim thought that this only happened out of happenstance. This was by chance. Lo me'et Hashem yitbarach, and not from Hashem. V'lazeh lakhu et Dagon ve'eshivo oto limkomo. And that's why they took Dagon and they returned him back to his place. V'lo hishtadlu la'asim misham Aron Elohim. And that's why they did not remove the ark. At the first time that Dagon fell, they did not figure it out. Whether they were stubborn, whether they were ignorant, whether they just couldn't figure it out. Ralbag saying they should have, but they didn't. They didn't get the subtle message. So if they won't get a subtle message, this time they'll have to get a more severe message. The Abarbanel says, since the Pelishtim ignored the lesson the first time, Hashem toppled Dagon a second time, this time detaching its head and palms from its body and showing that it wasn't an accident, that it was that everything and everyone should come and worship Hashem. And here is the greatest insult. Their God has been destroyed, their idol is destroyed, and instead of worshiping Hashem, what do? They worship the floor that Dagon fell on. Says the Me'am Loez, based on the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah 41b, the Pelishtim continued to worship the idol by revering the place on which he had fallen, since even broken idols are revered by their worshippers. Rabbi Yochanan teaches that they retain their status as objects of forbidden worship, and a Jew may not derive benefit from them. Reish Lakish believes that once Dagon broke, they stopped worshipping Dagon and began worshipping the threshold upon which their God had fallen. Says the Me'am Loez, quoting the Gemara, there's a two-way machloket. What are they worshipping? Are they worshipping the broken pieces of Dagon, which now lay on the floor? Or are they worshiping now the floor itself? And we are machmir, we are strict, and therefore we say, even a broken idol, one cannot derive any benefit, one cannot get any hana'ah. It's what's known as an isur hana'ah. We cannot get any benefit from it, and therefore one has to be careful, because these idolaters will never give up, not on their idols or their broken idols, or even if they give up on their idol, they'll find another one to worship. And now let's turn to the main event of this portion, and that is focusing on these afolim versus techorim. And as I mentioned, we have what's known as a ketiv ukeri. It's written one way and pronounced another. We have to try and understand what's going on. And I brought you the machloket here with Rashi, Radak, and Ralbag, the classical commentaries here. Rob's got a great point here. There's a sequel to the Dagon story. In Megillat Antiochus, Yochanan stabs Nicanor, who worshipped Dagon before the ark, to prevent Dagon from getting revenge for the events of Shmuel. Yeah, that's a great point. We can have a look at that another time. That's a great point. We'll have a look here at Rashi. Rashi says that Techorim is halcholet karkasha makata nekev achbarim nichnasin b'nikvehem v'shomtin b'nei me'ehem v'yotzin. Techorim refers to the muscle lining of the large intestine. It's a plague of the rectum. Mice would enter their recta, disembowel them, and crawl out. And we're going to see this at the beginning of chapter 6. In honor of the return of the ark, the Pelishtim make golden images of their damaged hemorrhoids, their rectum, their recta, and of these golden mice. So it seems there was an understanding of what was happening here. Was it that they were having these hemorrhoids or piles, or was it that these mice were coming through and pulling it out, or a combination of both? The Radak explains, Ba'ofelim ketiv, ukri betechorim. It's written be'afolim, but it's pronounced batechorim. And what does it mean? Haketiv hu shem kinui letachtoniot. The way that it's written is tells us the location of the body that is affected, i.e., the rear. Ki afole lashon gevohot kamo afalu bachan. But the pronounced word is more modest. Hakinui behefech v'akri hu shem hacholi. So the kinui, it's not. It just tells you, you know what? It's the back of the person, i.e., the rear. But the way it's pronounced, Shem HaCholi, that's the name of the disease. So the Radak is trying to tell you that they had the disease. And it's interesting, and I was talking to Kochaver and Gabby, my two oldest, and I asked them, how are you learning this in school? Because they learn in middle school, they learn Navi. And they said, Mrs. Weiss said that they had a disease, and they didn't go into detail. So there you go. Being like the Radak, they had a disease. You don't need to go into any more detail than that. They were using a clean term of what it meant. They didn't go into into how bad it was. Me, on the other hand, I'm a scientist. I have to go into all the details. The Ralbag says here, "V'zoha makah," and this plague, "Hayta shehuku b'techorim," that they were struck on their rear. V'hu choli mitza'ah ma'od. This was a really painful disease. V'yotzeh mehem dam rav, and they lost a great deal of blood. Kol shekein elu sheba'u lehem Hashem yitbarach. Ivam me'od. He says, the Ralbag, normally this type of disease, what we call piles or hemorrhoids, causes a great degree of blood loss. But this, that it came from Hashem, it was even more painful. This was on steroids. That's why I called it heavenly hemorrhoids. This is the most painful thing ever imaginable. So anyone who's had this, you haven't had it, because this is God's punishment, and it's a whole different level of it. And that's how you go. Correct, Esther. The way that it's pronounced one way, it's written one way, and we pronounce it a differently. So it's kativu kri. It comes up relatively commonly how we do that. So, and this proved to them that they had to remove the Aron from Ashdod and send it to Gat. The Ralbag saying you didn't get the lesson of your God falling. You didn't learn the lesson of your God's arms and head falling and being cut off. From this terrible pain, you're finally going to get rid of it and be forced to act. The Ma'am Loez explains, Techorim is a disorder of the lower body. English translations usually render it as hemorrhoids or piles, but a later reference to the affliction seems to indicate that it was disease caused by mice. Again, that's the Rashi there. Mice entered their bodies, attacked their intestines, and went back out. This strange plague, the Midrash says, was God's answer to the Pelishtim's belief that God had already exhausted all possible plagues when he smote the Egyptians. By your lives, God replied, I will bring upon you a plague that has never been seen before or since. Okay, this was such a embarrassing place that it causes the terrible sin. I told you last time that if you go to the chapter of Psalms, Mizmor Ayin Chet, chapter 78, you'll find there a description of the loss of Shiloh and the destruction of the Mishkan there, but also it says, there's a verse there, Vayach Tzarav Achor. He struck their adversaries from the back, from the rear. That's a reference to what's going on here. Cherpat Olam Natan Lamo. He gave them a perpetual, a forever disgrace that would last forever. Says Rashi on that pasuk, Makot Achorim Be'afalim V'Techorim V'hu Cherpat Gaduf Lahem Olamit. He smote his adversaries from the rear, plagues of the rear, with hemorrhoids, which is a disgrace of perpetual ridicule for them. Part of the difficulty of this disease is because it's in a private place. People are shy, are embarrassed to get medical aid. That's true today, and it was true back then. And much of the time, no one spoke about it because it was so embarrassing to talk about. And this caused them perpetual ridicule and shame. Carrying on, the pasuk says that Vayisatru lahem. And I told you that that perhaps comes from the word beseter, written with a samach. Where did I get that from? Where did the translation get it from? I got it from here, from Radak. Rav David Kimchi says, Ktiv b'shin, v'hu kamo b'samach. It's written with a shin, but it means exactly the same as with written with a samach. Upeirush, and what does that mean? Shaya lehem makata techorim bimkom seter. They had this plague of techorim which struck them in a hidden place. Mibifnim, which has been hidden. And this made it more difficult to treat than had it been on a place which was in a revealed area. I have a cut on my arm, I'm going to the doctor straight away. I've got a place in my private places, I'm going to wait a few more days before I take it. Maybe it'll go away on its own. So by having it hidden, it made it even harder. Says the Ralbag, as you'll notice as we went through these verses, that at the beginning it was painful for them, it was hard for them, then it says that there was a great panic as they cried out to Hashem, and then the cry goes all the way up to heaven. There seems to be, or there was a cry of death. It seems that everything is getting gradually a lot worse. The stakes are ramping up a lot. So the Ralbag says here, Mehuma gedola, a great panic. Lo nishar sham echad shelo hukah b'makat techorim. There wasn't one person who wasn't struck with these techorim. Vayu techorim nistarim, and these techorim were hidden. But this made it harder for them to be treated. And when they saw this, they sent it away to Ekron. And when it went there, it caused the death throughout the city. And they cried out. And the remainder, they were struck down with the techorim. Says the Ralbag, Kol ze kara lePelishtim mipnei Aaron haElohim toch shiva chodashim. This whole chapter took place in a 7-month period, while they captured Aaron. And after 7 months, it was too much, and they finally gave up on what had happened and realized that they had to return the Aaron. A 7-month period, and they accepted that they had messed up. And again, how they messed up? It could be they had showed a disgrace to the Aaron by saying, let the vanquished serve the victor. Or it could have been purely idolaters cannot serve the Aaron because they're worshipping idols Hashem does not want. And therefore, all of these punishments were just there to make sure they returned the ark. Alternatively, they blasphemed against Hashem and said Hashem has no power over them. And therefore, the only way to do so was to punish them in such a way that they were so embarrassed, they were so defeated, that there was nothing left to do other than admit defeat and return the Aaron. And now opening it up for questions. If we will have any questions, please feel free to share. Okay, I know it's a tough one being exactly how it was struck on everyone, but that's chapter 5. Next week we're going to see next week is is Shavuot, is Thursday night. Can I just have a quick? Please let me know.